Hey, that's my thing. Hey, I did that first. Wait, that video's not even about power creep. Hey, I made that joke first. Am I a trendsetter in this community? Sacrifice. This is the reoccurring theme echoed throughout the eternal land of Amphoreus. What are you willing to give up to create a new future for countless others that you may not even live to see yourself? I heard so many complaints about the storytelling in Amphoreus and how characters needlessly yap and nothing actually happens. But I was the one voice crying out into the ether saying, let them cook. We got a lot of world building and now Hoyo's gonna hit us in the gut and then deliver an uppercut that will traumatize us so badly that we can no longer use yet another phrase. First it was Final Lesson and Never Let You Go, then it was Live Callan or Live Kiana, then it was How I'd Love to Embrace the Future, breaking out of shades from the past, and now we can no longer use a phrase as simple as see you tomorrow without bursting into tears, which is another level of tragic. Now, as you've probably guessed, there will be a lot of story spoilers in this video. This is your one and only warning. Recently, I made a video on how I wanted Hoyo to establish the villain and let us know how dangerous of a threat we are facing. And I'm sorry. I am truly sorry because they listened. I emphasized how different the Hule story was because of the sheer number of bodies he left behind. But this was nothing compared to the Black Tide's work, because Hoyo saw my video and took it personally. You want bodies? Well, how about we decorate all of the Grove of Epiphany with them? And I wish that was all they did, because as much as it hurt, this story was peak. Okay, let's be real. They probably didn't see my video of all things, but just in case, 谢谢你们听懂我的说话. Anyway, a lot went down, and while I do have a ton of things to talk about, first, we have to properly break down what we just experienced. So, without further ado, this is the rules of Amphoreus continued. Okay, so where do we begin? We learn a lot about the nature of demigods and the true weight they bear. And I guess we might as well tear off the band-aid now. We lost Trian, or as I like to call it, the 998 incident. I tried to prepare you guys. The death flags were flying for weeks, but it still hurts. And to be honest, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that Tribbie split herself into 1,000 pieces, then had to watch each one die until only one remains. Which means now we have to ask ourselves the real questions here. When Trinan dies too, will she stop using the pronoun we to refer to herself? Too soon? Yeah, probably too soon. However, this does explain her reaction because she always kind of came off as dismissive of the fact. And the reason behind this is the fact that every demigod is told how they will perish the moment they ascend. Tribbie's future, for example, is all will bid farewell to one, and that person alone will witness the miracle. Which means that eventually we will be at 999. But this is also a testament to their determination and force of will, because they fight on and sacrifice themselves knowing that only one will remain in the end. This is also foreshadowed by Tribbie's C6, because apparently when they die, they turn back into dolls, which is incredibly dark when you remember all those times the dolls were appearing in the room with you, just sitting there, or floating. That was all the other fallen shards of Tribbie. We didn't even know it then, but this is what she was seeing. Again, the amount of willpower and determination Tribbie has is unmatched. And again, they share emotions during times of stress, so she felt each and every single one of her own deaths. I imagine this is why she passed out when Trian opened up her final sentry gate. Rip Trian, you were my favorite of the three. Of course, they would kill the one that I like the most. Which brings me to the last thing she says. See you tomorrow. Okay, brace yourself, this is where it gets really sad. Because the way she explains this is a really flowery way of saying, we all march on to tomorrow together, no matter what that tomorrow may be. We all march onward to achieve the same dream of saving the world, leaving all apprehension behind for only bravery to remain. When in reality, what this really means is much darker. Because in reality, the concept of tomorrow never comes. It will always be out of reach. there is only today. So see you tomorrow is technically their way of accepting that they will never meet again. But at the same time, they keep going because tomorrow is always ahead of you, and something to unendingly strive for, which is the source of their determination. It's like chasing the sunset or the sunrise since tomorrow. It's kind of like saying, let's all fight for a better tomorrow, or fight for all that is beautiful in the world. Simple, but very effective. But I'll tell you something that is not effective: lies. Because let's talk about the Reason Titan who has recently died along with the Time Titan, aka Calypso or Circes. And I'm gonna tell you this right now, because I am not convinced that this is Circes. I know, controversial, but hear me out. Because I think this individual is Nestia, the romance type. Not only does this individual look like Aglaea's sister, Aglaea being the demigod of romance, of course, but she is also quite obviously blind, or at least not opening her eyes, which in fact did happen to Nestia as stated in the description of Fresh Seeds of Dawn. But that's not all, because Nestia was woefully in love with Circes. But it is famously stated that Nestia's love for Circes was unrequited, which led to Nestia passing away crying tears of blood. And what do we see from Miss Calypso here? What's this? Golden streaks from her eyes? Remember, Titans have golden blood, so this would be classified as tears of blood. But let's move on, because after passing away, she was reborn into a humanoid figure, which explains why she looks like a person. You'll also notice that the tree branches are just woven into Calypso's hair. It's not a part of her, almost as if she's not part of it, but wants to be. This is explained by the fact that after traveling for a long time, Nestia returned and gifted all that she was to Circes. And again, it says her lover here, but never in any text does it say that Circes changed their mind and decided to love Nestia. The love was still unrequited. It was a very one-sided toxic relationship. Now, Nestia made herself part of Circes, so they were inseparable. But when Calypso cries before leaving the grove, not only does this seem out of character for a Titan representing the concept of logic and reason, but again, never does it state that Circes loved Nestia. Instead, responding in such a way would fall in line perfectly with Nestia's emotional tendencies. So a lot of things are wrong here. But it gets even weirder when you look into the origin of the name she chose: Calypso. And who is Calypso? Well, in Greek mythology, Calypso's curse is to have heroes wash upon her island and for her to fall in love with them, and then be unable to keep them. Doesn't this sound more like romance than anything else? Nestia fated to love Circes but be unable to keep Circes due to the fact that Circes didn't care? It really doesn't matter how you choose to look at it. Calypso is not the Reason Titan. None of this makes any sense. And why she's able to evade the Golden Thread's detection? Well, it's her power, of course. She would know how to evade it. Honestly, how do you put these two right next to each other and tell me that this isn't Nestia? The Titan lies. The Titan lies. I'm telling you, it lies. Nothing lines up with this being Circes besides them saying that they're Circes, and they've already lied to us once. So fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But let's move on, because we can't miss talking about the star of the show, our new demigod of strife, Mydei, the Undying One himself, who I think holds the key to this entire story and exactly why Amphoreus is doomed. But that's another video. Mydei's whole issue was wishing to bring the Kremnoan people into a new age of prosperity, but one that abandons their bloodthirsty and greed-driven ways. But eventually he finds the strength to give up the title of king and leave his people in Akima to live in peace and safety, though unwanted. But what strikes me as fascinating is what he told Finan before taking the demigod trial, which is his weakness. His 10th thoracic vertebra is the only way to kill him, which is ironic because with his body markings, it literally highlights his weak spot. The Kremnoans aren't the smartest people. Brave, but not very smart. I always say there is a thin line between bravery and stupidity. Anyway, cool little detail here. When everyone's fighting the Flame Reaver, somehow he knew Mydei's weakness and was going for it. And you can see it in the reflection of Finon's sword. We almost lost Mydei. And although telling Finon this did end up saving his life, this isn't the reason why he told him this. Because Mydei is taking up Nikador's mantle and is on the front lines fighting the Black Tide, knowing full well that he will probably succumb to the madness as well. So as a failsafe, his most trusted ally is the only person with the knowledge of how to kill him if necessary, making sure his immortality will never serve as a threat to Ankama or his Kremnoan people. Okay, so this has gone on for long enough. If I go any further, this could be a whole nother video. I just wanted to analyze some things so that we're all on the same page for the future. In summary, I truly do believe that Mydei's story is a huge teaser into the true problem of Amphoreus. And while Anaxa does hold the core flame of reason, this isn't Circe's. It just isn't. Her hanging around only proves that she's also Nestia, because Nestia would also stick around the person holding on to the core flame of reason, because that's the remnants of Circe's, the whole inseparable thing. And once again, little Trian will be missed. And it seems little Trian is next. But what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace, y'all.